I come here every day because I believe in democracy, and I believe in the importance of people having influence over their government of, by, and for the people, and people having a government that works well for them, and that's what I always try to do. One time I was busy looking at my hotlines before the days of email.
Okay, well, I'll sure keep that in mind.
But somebody was complaining about a bill, and I hadn't heard of the bill. And then I went to the committee meeting the next week, and sure enough, here was this bill. And I brought up the point of view that this person had brought, which was opposed to it.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, members of the Senate.
And I fought it all the way and finally managed to kill it.
That's great. Wonderful.
The lobbyist for the bill has never forgotten it.
I'm Gisela Tabor, and I got to know Karen, first of all, in the local chapter of NOW, the National Organization for Women. She was very interested in women's perspectives and was focused on the differences in how women were treated from men.
I never thought of myself as in a groundbreaking role. I just felt I was a person. I needed to be employed, and I was very interested in public affairs and public policy. But I was very frustrated once I got into the workforce, realizing that women were so thoroughly discriminated against. I had no idea.
And at the beginning, in the chapter, we were concentrating on trying to change the help want ad columns in the newspaper, because it was help wanted women, help wanted men.
It starts with the language. You know, you talk about manpower and so forth, and man hours, and I thought, whoa, what's this?
So in 1971, Governor Evans had a law where he wanted to add sex to the employment section of the state law against discrimination, so that you couldn't discriminate when you were applying for a job on the basis of gender. Karen was among those who worked very hard to not only change policies like in newspapers, but on laws, and that particular law was changed. And that was a time when there wasn't a single woman in the Senate. And she was not yet the first woman on the Lacey City Council or the first woman mayor in Lacey. That was before that time.
I helped lobby for state ratification of the Equal Rights Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. This was one of the biggest campaigns in the history of the state in terms of lobbying. It was huge, it was massive.
Hello, I'm Shanna Stevenson. I'm the coordinator of the Washington Women's History Consortium. Senator Karen Fraser is a member of our advisory board. Senator Fraser has been a wonderful advocate for women's rights in Washington as part of local organizations and in her role as an elected official. She said that many times as she was an elected official, people would ask, why is Washington such a leader for women's rights? Women in Washington got the vote in 1910, which was a full 10 years before most women in other parts of the country. Well, we had a great commemoration in 2009 and 2010, and Senator Fraser was in the leadership position there. We had a great traveling exhibit, we had programs, even parades, and Senator Fraser was always right there to help promote that special event.
You know, for many years here in our home, Senator Fraser and I co-hosted a dinner party every year for what we called Remarkable and Incredible Women from all over the state. And we'd pick and choose women and invite them just to come alone to the dinner and to be honored by a group of other women and some of our state's leaders. And after the dinner was over, it seemed like every year we'd go around the table and kind of discuss each person that had been there. And many times, Karen Fraser had more credentials and more background and more history and more kind of notches on her belt than some of the people we'd honored.
as the chair of the Capital Committee in the State Senate, was very instrumental in funding all kinds of projects around the Olympia area, including everything from Percival Landing to the Performing Arts Center in downtown Olympia, to the many projects on the Capitol campus, Heritage Park, Rotary Park. Hello, I'm Joyce Turner. I'm the former director of the Department of Enterprise Services, and today I'm here to talk to you about Senator Karen Fraser. Some of the challenges she's faced, particularly in her role with the Capitol campus, has been the siting of various monuments, including the World War II Memorial and the Law Enforcement Memorial. She has been an ardent supporter of protecting the view of the Capitol and the vista from the Capitol campus down to Heritage Park.
Our state capitol campus is one of the most magnificent in the country. And when the campus was designed, the Olmsted brothers, renowned landscape designers, planned the Capitol campus landscaping to incorporate the vistas of the Olympics in Mount Rainier and Puget Sound into the landscaping. Washington has the oldest sister-state relationship of any state in the country, and was put together originally with Governor Rossellini. So I'm sorry he wasn't here to enjoy the 50th anniversary celebration of our sister-state relationship, which we celebrated last August. Governor Ito of our sister state in Japan brought 300 people over with him to help celebrate that.
You know, Washington State is in a unique position of many, many jobs. Some people say 3 out of 5, some people say 4 out of 5 jobs that really relate to world trade. Japan keeps coming farther and farther and farther up in importance. And Karen Fraser has taken on that challenge for many, many years. She and her late husband and their entire family have just made sure that Washington State Legislature and our leadership kept their relationships, kept their contacts, kept their communications, and kept the opportunities open between our two areas.
And at that time, there was a huge movement going on to preserve the Delta. Some people wanted to industrialize it, and it was a giant issue, and people are actually devoting their entire lives to preserving the Delta. So that put me over the edge, and so I decided I really should run for county commissioner because I could help preserve the Nisqually Delta.
I'm George Walter, Environmental Program Supervisor for the Nisqually Indian Tribe. We're here on the Nisqually River, Fort Lewis up here to our right-hand side, and this is the Nisqually Indian Reservation. I've worked for over 30 years for the Nisqually Tribe on watershed issues and watershed management. And in those 30 years, over 30 years, I've never worked with anybody who's been any better than Karen Fraser. She played a really important leadership role for the Nisqually watershed. In 1985, I first met Karen. She was the chair of a task force, and that task force was charged with developing a management plan. She helped us, all these divergent issues, all these divergent people, she helped us realize that we all had something very important in common, and that is we loved the Nisqually watershed and wanted to see it protected forever.
One of my major observations is that if you care about people, you need to care about the environment. Environment and people go together, and environment and the economy go together.
One of the things that Karen was so good at was kind of developing this whole notion of we, that she and the others sort of, you kind of got a picture, their arms were wide, and they said, we are going to do that, and they just kind of sweep up everybody in that circle of we, and Karen was especially good at that.
This is a measure I introduced because I wanted to help make the opportunity.
We did a job that is recognized really nationally, and it's a plan that's still alive. It's been modified a little bit since we put it together, but it's a plan that really was a plan, and people buy into it up and down the river, and it's lasted and it's alive today.
We've been incredibly fortunate in this community to have her in the Senate. She's one of the hardest working senators I know.
Senator Fraser has been a wonderful leader, and she's one of the reasons why we at the consortium think that women in Washington continue to make history.